Okay, welcome everybody. Finally game week. I think everybody's more excited probably than I am at this point, but we are thrilled to be able to be heading down to Atlanta on Saturday to take place in a game that will be considered one of the top games in the country coming up here this weekend. So we're fired up about it. Our players are in a really good spot at this point. I think the overall health of our program, health of our team is as good as it's been. We got through 25 practices over the last 4 weeks and have been put ourselves in a position where we feel really good about taking on a quality opponent in Alabama. Don't need to really say much about our opponent as far as what they've accomplished over the last few years. We're pretty excited to be able to be in this situation, to be able to play a game of this magnitude. Our guys are thrilled with the opportunity to be able to go down to Atlanta to be able to play in this game. Coach Saban's body of work speaks for itself. They've been playing at a very high level here for the last 6 years. I think he's lost 7 or 8 games over that span. So, they're an outfit that's tough to beat. Our guys understand that. And look forward to the opportunity to be able to get it on Saturday. Starting with their offense, a lot's been made about their quarterback spot. I think too much has been made about their quarterback spot. They got 2 guys that are going to be able to run their offense. To me, with Coach Kiffin coming in, I mean, I've known Lane for a long time and has a great history of being able to coach some pretty good offenses. I don't think that what they do offensively is going to change a whole bunch. Coach Saban has an idea of what he wants to do on all 3 sides of the ball within his program, and they have fantastic players around them. They got 3 running backs that they could go to each one of them and have the ability to be able to score quickly. They got big kids up front. 3 of the 5 starters coming back. They say they're starting a true freshman. And then I figured out he was the #1 player in the country, and he was there all spring, so I don't really consider him much of a true freshman. But, they got big people up front. They got an All-American tight end, 3 receivers that have played a lot of ball for them that can score. So there's a bunch of talent around the quarterback spot. And, they probably more than likely play both. They say they're going to play both, so I would anticipate that happening. And much like we're going to do with each one of our positions, whichever guy plays better, we're probably going to play that guy more. We're anticipating playing both, but I don't think that's going to change really what they're going to be doing on offense. Defensively, when you think of an Alabama team, when you think of Coach Saban, it's going to be defense. Kirby Smart's been their DC for a long time, been with Nick for a long time. They do a great job of recruiting top-notch talent. Big, fast, strong guys, some of the better players in the country each and every year. Lose guys to the NFL every year, and then they just replace them with guys that have been in the program, and those guys go to the NFL. So, they have 5-6 starters coming back, and have, a good nucleus of guys that have played a lot of ball for them. Looking back on their tape from last year, you see about 20-some guys playing those snaps last year. So, they lost some real good ones to the NFL, but they got a lot of guys that are going to continue to get better and develop into the caliber of players that they're used to. Special teams has always been a huge emphasis for them. They're probably just the opposite of what we are from their specialists. They're replacing a punter, they're replacing a kicker. But they have one of the best return guys in the country coming back in Christian Jones. Was an All-SEC, All-American punt and kick returner. Have more than him. DeAndre White's one of their receivers that has the ability to be able to score as well. So they have a great return game. I think the biggest question mark with them special teams wise is the punter and the kicker, because they're replacing some good guys that they had last year. But the emphasis is going to be there. They've always been good. They got great depth. They got great talent to where they can put guys on special teams in order to be successful. So that's the way I view them. Like I said, it's going to be an exciting week for our fan base to be able to to make the trip down to Atlanta. It's something that we've been looking forward to for a long time, not only within the building here, but as a fan base as well. And you know, certainly going to do everything in our power to be able to put our best foot forward to be able to come out of there with the victory. So with that, we'll take some specific questions.
They've got a new offensive coordinator, you've got a new defensive coordinator. You spend most of your time on the offensive side of the ball. Well, how do you turn that over to Tony? I mean, do you have full control of the game, or do you make suggestions, or how does that work?
No, I mean, there's always going to be conversations that take place during the course of the week. You know, as far as you know, I ask his advice. I ask Coach DeForest, Coach Bradley. I mean, all these guys some advice on what they would do in some of our situations offensively, and they do the same thing with the offensive coaches on what they should do in some situations defensively. So we've I think we're both us defensively and Alabama offensively in a similar situation to where it's not a wholesale change. I mean, one of the reasons why I wanted Tony to take this over is because he's been he was with Coach Patterson last year, and he was with Coach Patterson 3 years ago in order to understand the defensive scheme, because we didn't want to change it very much. I can assure you that when Coach Saban hired Coach Kiffin, it wasn't, I want you to change the entire thing. He had an idea of what he wants to do offensively, which is not a whole lot different than what USC was doing the previous couple of years as well. So the philosophies, both with us defensively in the turnover and Alabama offensively in the turnover, is relatively the same, because it's not going to be just tremendously different.
Schematically, if they do what they've done in the past, are they like anyone, you know, they seem very old school, but are they like anyone in the Big 12?
Oh, yeah, I mean, football's football. You can only put, you know, you can put 7 on the line of scrimmage and 5 off the line of scrimmage, and usually one guy's taking a snap and all that. So, you know, there's some similarities in what they do and what we try to do offensively. There's some drastic differences as well. You know, they're more of a pro-style offense. I mean, they have the ability to be able to spread you out with really good receivers, you know, which you got to cover them, and lightens the box up, and they feel like they're in a good position to run it. They're going to run it. They're going to try to establish the run. You know, I think regardless of what offense you're looking at, I mean, whether it's ours, whether it's Baylor's, whether it's Kansas State's, you know, it's always the same. You're going to try to establish the run, and then make the defense commit to a certain number of people in the box, and then you got one-on-one matchups you try to convert on. So, you know, when it comes to that, I think there's some similarities with everybody.
Which coaches will be in the press box? Which ones will be on the field this year? And also, how many guys are you going to be traveling with?
We can travel a little bit more. We're not restricted to 70 until the Texas Tech game, which I believe is game 6. Because next week's home game, Maryland, we're not restricted. Oklahoma is a home game here. Kansas is a home game here. So it's not till game 6 to where we're restricted to 70. This one, you know, we're going to probably take about 80, I think is what the number is right now. So we're in good shape there. As far as coaching, you know, offensively, we're the same as we've been. You know, it won't change at all. As far as Shannon being upstairs, Chris Hannon is going to be talking to our to Coach Crook to begin, because he's the GA for the offensive line. You know, and then you know, defensively, Coach Mitchell will be up there. That's no difference. You know, and then they're just talking about this morning, a combination of Coach Bradley and Coach Cogdale. I'm not quite sure which one they got ironed out at this point. So one of the D-line guys, Anthony Leonard, will be upstairs because he's kind of the linebacker guy, and then Coach Mitchell from the back end on defense as well.
You mentioned the athleticism and the skill of both quarterbacks, Sims and Proker. But what are some of the specific nuances that you've had to kind of tell your team about, just to go against each individual quarterback and be prepared?
Well, you know, we have limited snaps to be able to gauge this from. I mean, neither one of them have taken a bunch of snaps. They're they're not the same quarterback. I mean, Sims has a little bit more athleticism to him, where Coker is a bigger pocket, more pocket guy. I just, again, we got to be aware of who they are as far as the elusiveness of one, and don't want to say lack thereof with the other one, but again, I mean, there's only so much you can prepare for. There's the flip side of that is I doubt they're going to have two different offenses for those two guys. There's only so much that you can prepare for as well. So we've talked to our guys as far as who they are, as far as what their body type is. There's not just a ton of film to be able to show them exactly who they are. Now there's a whole bunch of film on the rest of the guys, and they know exactly what they're getting. And some of these receivers, they know exactly what they're getting in the running backs, the tight end, and the offensive line as well.
You know, what's the difference getting ready for a game as a 20-point favorite as compared to a 20-point underdog, or vice versa?
It doesn't affect our coaching style whatsoever. It doesn't affect our preparation whatsoever. We don't pay attention to it. It's not something that affects us one way or another. I think I'd be naive to say that our players don't at least look at it. They probably do a little bit, but in a game like this, first game, everybody's excited to play. It doesn't matter what the matchup is. It doesn't matter where you're playing it. Everybody's going to be excited and anxious to be able to get out there for the first time. I've said this in here several different times. I believe my biggest coaching challenge will be Sunday, regardless of what happens on Saturday, whether we're successful, whether we're not. I think the bigger coaching challenge is going to be on Sunday, getting ready to these guys to overcome what happened. You know, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. So, we'll deal with that on Sunday. But these guys are going to be ready to play. Our guys are going to be ready to play. Alabama's guys are going to be ready to play. And you can throw away favorites or underdogs or any of that. It doesn't affect it doesn't affect anything one way or another.
How do you gauge or measure the overall progress of the program from the end of last season to right now?
I think it's night and day. I think it's night and day. If you just look at the overall numbers, I think we're better at every position. We're working with 85 scholarships for the first time in 4 years. We're not having to march 10, 15, 20 freshmen out there. Right now, I would say it's a fair. I think it'd be a safe bet to say that Drayvon Henry is going to play, but he's the only freshman that's going to play. There's just a couple of redshirt freshmen that are going to be able to get out there and play as well, because we've played so many true freshmen before. So I look at every single position based on what they did last year, based on the progress that they've made in the off season, and for the 23 practices we've had since August 1. And I see improvement out of either the starters or the backups at every single position across the board.
Newcomer in Jalen Myers, would you anticipate any snaps, even special teams for him?
I would anticipate a few. I think his number's 27. I'm not sure, but I would anticipate a few on special teams. We had Wednesday of last week to be able to gauge what he can do. You can see his athleticism, but to say he's going to do anything other than that right now, I think it'd be crazy. We got a few days, today, we got tomorrow, we got Thursday to be able to teach him and coach him and watch it on film to see how he reacts.
Coach, it was announced, that Ish Banks is going to miss the non-conference games. Who do you foresee stepping in for him, and do you think that's going to put any kind of added pressure on the defense since he's a redshirt senior?
Icky was in a battle for playing time when we pulled him off the field 10 days ago or whatever it was. Terrell Chestnut's been doing well. I mean, he's a guy that's been in the program for 3 years. Understands what to do now. Is healthy for the first time since he's been here. He was battling for that starting job. Travis Bell has been solid. Has been as good as I've ever seen him. His physical condition is good. His where he's at mentally right now, I view as good. Something happens to fifth-year seniors that is important, which is why you want to have a few of them. They know this is their last their last chance, and something happens to guys like that. I see that happening with Travis right now. So he's been playing well. He was in the discussion for that. You know, you had Jalen. I don't know if he's going to get to where he can give us any snaps or not, but we at least got some guys to choose from. If you guys would remember when we were 2 years ago, when we were in some of these battles with Baylor out here, and we were putting 3 or 3, if I'm not mistaken, true freshmen out there at corner. So I think we're in a much better place, and we will welcome back Icky when he's cleared here in 3 weeks.
Will Henry start? And also, you liked him a lot at the start of camp, and obviously you and the coaches do. How much has he developed and progressed since the start?
Drayvon?
Yeah.
Yeah, you forget he's a freshman. He's the only freshman that we're having this conversation about. And again, going back to last year and 2 years ago, we're having this conversation about a whole bunch of them, you know. So we kind of forget that he's a true freshman because he's a matured kid. He doesn't have ups and downs. You know, he's pretty steady. He needs to continue to improve, and I think he will. Much like one of the things with true freshmen, with guys you've never put out there before, is what's their demeanor like, and how are they gonna respond when there's 70,000 people in the stands and there's a real opponent across the field. I think based on what he's done in practice, I think he'll handle it just fine. But we gotta look. We gotta look and see. And it's not like Jeremy Tyler is a seasoned vet. I mean, he's a redshirt, or he's a true sophomore. So we're going to continue to monitor that this week. You know, the one thing on depth charts, which I know you guys want, and I understand the necessity of needing it and wanting to talk about it. I'm going to have this discussion with my team here in an hour. You know, to me, it's about competing for snaps. If you're first or second or third, you're competing for snaps in practice on Tuesday, practice on Wednesday, practice on Thursday, throughout the course of the game, throughout film evaluation, and moving on to game 2 as well. So we will continue to monitor that and make decisions on the amount of snaps that each individual gets. I think that's probably more important than whose name's first on the depth chart.
Danny, he wasn't here for the spring though, which is that Carl and I think Jordan were spring guys who use that as a catapult too. It seems like it's overlooked. He's only been here a brief period of time and is so far ahead from where freshmen are. Is that, I don't know, does that kind of underline all the stuff you're talking about, or did he just come in especially prepared and just hit it?
Yeah, he's a good player, you know. And again, I mean, it's not crazy just to start true freshmen. I mean, that happens at every program across the country. I mean, I think the overall health of the program is an indication of how many of them you have to use. He happens. I think you get to a point where if recruiting continues to improve, which I think it has over the last couple of years, then you're going to get better bodies to be able to go in there and compete at an early age. With that said, there's still a learning curve. You know, you look at Alabama's depth chart, and I think there's probably 4 or 5 true freshmen on their depth chart, because they're recruiting at a pretty high level, and those guys come in, and if they're better than the ones that are currently first or second or third, then they're going to put them in there.
Did you anticipate during fall camp that he could have a shot at that starting job, or?
Yeah, we had a pretty good idea. And again, we're talking about a guy that's never taken a snap here, so we're going to continue to monitor his progress this week to see how he does in practice and put him out there and carefully evaluate how he does throughout the course of the game.
Did you guys find the depth on the offensive line you were looking for in camp?
I think so. I think so. I mean, we got a lot of snaps at the guard position. You know, Tyler's done a great job at center. We got 2 inexperienced tackles that have played in games. We got 5 guys that we're repping that don't have many snaps. So, you know, if we need to play those guys, then you know, you got to put guys into the game for the first time at some point. You know, Marcel and Grant are both redshirt freshmen, haven't played yet. Cleachio hadn't played much. You know, Matteo hadn't played much. Stone hasn't played much. So those backups are guys that we feel good about, but they haven't played yet, and we got to look at how they do once they get in there.
How much of a concern is that for a game like this of this magnitude? You said wide-eyed, 70,000 people.
It's a concern for everybody across the country. You know, when you go into the first game.